A mother gives her child a lollipop and tells her she is just stepping out for a little while, and to be good and eat this while she waits. The child asks if she will be back before she finishes it. The mother replies, "Of course, sweetie." The child begins eating it quickly, wondering if finishing it faster might bring her mother back sooner. But the sun dips and night slowly falls. Still, her mother does not return. She stays in the same place, clutching the empty stick, the sweetness long gone, and the question growing heavier in her chest. Why isn't she back yet? And just as the thought begins to take root that maybe her mother has abandoned her, she hears her name being screamed. Her mother comes rushing toward her. A huge smile breaks across the child's face. But just then, a bus speeds past and strikes her mother before she can reach the child. The little girl stands frozen, witnessing her mother's brutal death with her very own eyes. What she knows for sure is that her mother never abandoned her, and the candy she gave her that day was her way of showing real love. When she grows up, she hits the jackpot prize on a lottery and uses the prize money to open her own shop. A candy shop filled with her dreams and love. As she puts the final touch on her shop, she looks at the adorable uniforms, fairy tale interiors, and rows of colorful candies bursting with fantasy. She is 200% confident everyone who visits will love it. Like, big sleigh energy, no crumbs left. If only this place wasn't so deserted. It sits there, small and colorful, swallowed by the vast emptiness around it. But she dismisses the thought, thinking she worked hard on the pre-opening promotion and the response wasn't bad, convincing herself it will be fine. With a renewed sense of determination, she opens her shop. Outside, a busy market buzzes with activity as she watches from the window. Suddenly, she jumps in disbelief, spotting a cosplay group that seems completely out of place. She is low-key gagged, wondering where did they even come from. The street outside looks too pretty for this neighborhood, almost like someone hit the glow-up filter on reality. A strange thought crosses her mind. Could this be a movie set? Her disbelief only grows when she realizes her hair color has changed. Girl is literally shook. A chill rushes through her, and she quickly reminds herself to take deep breaths, trying to calm the rising panic. Just then, someone outside tries to open the door, only to find it stuck. She hears a voice saying that it is weird the door will not budge. The girl starts to turn away, casually mentioning that she was just curious about what the new shop sells. The shop owner quickly opens the door for her, offering an apology for the wait and announcing that they are open now. When the girl asks what kind of shop it is, the answer comes simply: it is a candy shop filled with sweet, sweet love. Big heart emoji vibes. The visitor is visibly surprised, admitting she has never seen a store that sells only candy. She admits she has only had candy when restaurants hand it out after meals and asks if she only really sells candies in this store. Anna assures them their candy is special. Every piece is handmade with love, so each one has a unique taste and shape. She hands 2 candies to them and tells them to enjoy this opening day treat on the house. She also tells them to feel free to sample as they browse the selection. Straight up main character energy, like, who wouldn't want free snacks served with love? When they taste it, the candy quickly melts on their tongues, drawing surprised exclamations about how sweet it is. The customer admits the flavor is unlike any candy she has ever had before. Anna tells her that if she liked that one, she will definitely enjoy this too. She presents her with another piece tropical in flavor, but with a unique twist in the blend. She also offers a mini-sized version that is simpler to eat. Revealing the shape is different from the regular ones, so it is fun in a whole new way. The customers admit they are adorable, everything looks delicious, and they even smell like her favorite fruits. Absolute aesthete sparkles. They mean to buy some for the kids, but now they want them for themselves too. They note with all those colors, they shine like little gems. Anna points out, just like their shop's name, their candies are like edible gems. The shop's name is Gem Candy and adds precious gems made just for them. She looks down at the gold coins resting in her palm, her chest tightening with the realization that this is her very first sale. A wave of emotion washes over her so strong it nearly brings her to tears. Girl is literally about to ugly cry over coins, and honestly, mood. She thinks if this bizarre situation is not a dream, then she will be so happy. But as her gaze lingers on the coins, she wonders how much is this even worth? It looks like real gold. She is so stunned by the unfamiliar currency that she tells them they could decide the price since they are her first customers, so she is not aware if that was too much. However, she is still confused about this weird situation. It should not be possible, but one day she woke up as a side character in a novel, or at least that is what it feels like. A story she had seen all over the internet suddenly becomes her reality, and it only takes one night for her to realize it. She runs down the street and comes across a man reading a newspaper under the streetlight. As she pants for her breath, she blurts out where exactly is she and what year is it now. She asks for the country's name too. With a smile, the man replies it is the Middle Empire and it is April 7th, 1786. He even offers to give her the newspaper as well. She takes it from him and turns her back on him. Reading it, she realizes the name Maddle sounds familiar. And then it hits her like a truculent moment. It is from that novel she was reading. She mumbles to herself, "This is insane." She guesses it is not possible, but her? Seriously? She is not main character coded, and yet here she is. The man glances at her in surprise and asks if she is all right. She pulls away her head from the newspaper to show the brightest smile on her face and tells him of course she feels amazing. She expresses she thought her shop is going to do great here. And her new life starts now. Main character arc unlocked, no cap. The newspaper guy strolls up to his carriage, holding a fresh copy tucked under his arm. On the front page, there's a picture of two candidates, both looking way too serious for their own good. This man casually asks him who he thinks will snag the title of Crown Prince. But the guy just blurts out that he actually forgot why he even came here in the first place. The man is instantly shook like, jaw-dropped shook and mutters that he would also forget everything if he had someone like her in his life. The memory of her sweet, almost comically polite apology over the wrinkled newspaper replays in his head and makes him burst into laughter right there. She really is something else, and he can't help but admit it. Meanwhile, Anna is running the shop like the girl boss she is. She realizes that the stick candy stash is looking abundant, literally mountains of sugar, and she has also restocked the gem candies that were basically flying off the shelves yesterday. Everything looks perfect, aesthetic, and vibes checked. Still, somewhere in the back of her mind, she feels like she's forgetting something crucial. And boom, the door swings open dramatically, practically with main character energy. Anna instinctively chirps out her usual welcome to Anna's candy, but her voice trails off mid-sentence. She suddenly realizes that this isn't just some basic candy stall anymore, it needs a glow-up name. With a bright smile, she officially declares it as Dorothy's store. One of the customers beams, clearly charmed, and gushes that just as Lady Hestia said, the housekeeper really is absolutely adorable. But her friend is the total opposite, Ice Queen vibes activated, remarking coldly that aren't these just cheap sweets made by some random commoner? She mutters under her breath like a full-on hater, criticizing the idea of opening a specialty shop that basically sells cavities. Reckless, she thinks. Straight up reckless. Anna, unbothered, goes full mic drop mode. She exclaims that if children already know how to care for their teeth properly, then wouldn't it actually be fine to give them something sweet and cute as a reward? And not just that, some of her candies are actually useful. She proves her point by pulling out a whole handful, letting the light catch them until they look like a pile of raw emeralds. She announces that these are mint candies, her not-so-secret weapon. Then she leans in like she's about to spill tea, telling the woman that if they're ever rushing to a social gathering and don't have time to brush their teeth, they can just pop one of these, and their breath will be instantly fresh. Low-key, that sounds amazing, and the woman is instantly hooked like she would love to try one right away. Anna, of course, has samples at the ready, and she tells her to help herself. She even offers one to the other lady. The cold one acts all reluctant, but since she's already here, she figures there's no harm in giving it a try. Anna, in her head, can't help but think, girl, you definitely need it. As soon as the taste melts on her tongue, the woman admits it's actually not bad at all. Her friend lights up, saying it suits her perfectly, and surprisingly, the woman agrees it really does. Either way, she ends up saying that she likes the flavor, and honestly, Anna is just standing there like, mission accomplished. She places an order in return, surprising Anna with her quick decision. Anna, ever the candy CEO, tells them that since it's their grand opening promo, they're giving out an extra bag with every purchase. She adds with a little sales pitch sparkle that the candies have a long shelf life, so they'll last for ages, like basically apocalypse-proof sugar. The woman, clearly living for the deal, exclaims that in that case, she'll take 3 bags. But her friend, clearly in competitive mode, immediately chimes in 5 bags, actually scratch that, make it 10. Anna, with the sweetest smile that could rival her own confections, assures them she'll wrap everything up right away. As the sun begins to set, Anna finally closes up shop, feeling both accomplished and exhausted. She can't help but find it super strange that she has never studied this language, yet she can speak it fluently like some low-key language prodigy. And somehow, this street doesn't feel unfamiliar either. She doesn't recognize it at all, yet she doesn't feel out of place. Like the whole vibe is giving deja vu but with a dreamy, romantic filter. Plus, her ultra cute uniform fits right in with the setting, like she's accidentally cosplaying the main character. On her way back, she counts her gold coins one by one, thinking proudly that she made 8 gold coins in just 2 days. Still, the realist in her wonders if that's actually enough to cover clothes and food. Before the sun disappears, she knows she has to figure out where to buy necessities and also scope out the nearby shops, their owners, and the competition. That's just basic business 101. She remembers how her old store location had been a total flop, so she abandoned it back then without regrets. This time, she believes she just needs to work hard, hustle smart, and glow up her candy empire. She pauses for a moment, gazing at the hawks wheeling in the sky, and feels a rare, pure moment of happiness. This is the world she dreamed of, the exact world inside the romance fantasy novel Romantic Lady. A story where the struggling female lead climbs her way up to become a noble lady, only to find herself tangled in a challenging yet beautiful romance with gorgeous men straight out of fan edits. The main theme is romance, so literally everything in the story drips with it like honey. But she also knows this is still the prologue. Since it's set 5 years before the main story kicks in, she probably won't see the main characters yet, which is low-key tragic. She really wanted to see the protagonist's beautiful faces up close like a fangirl at a concert. But because she only skimmed the book, a lot of details are fuzzy. Then her thoughts drift to the guy from yesterday. The sun had been behind him, making it hard to see clearly, but she's pretty sure he was ridiculously good-looking. His eyes were like emeralds, and his hair ugh, she couldn't make out the color, but she knew the aura was immaculate. In her head, she's convinced good-looking guys are always the main leads. But then, her eyes snap open wide as realization hits like a truck-kun. It was Julian, a side character, the literal guild master from the underworld who's scheming to take down the royal family. Now her memory clicks into place. In the prologue, Julian had been walking alone at night in a court, casually reading an article about the next crown prince like he wasn't plotting something sinister. He had come to the capital to observe the political situation firsthand. And if she recalls correctly, he's planning to assassinate one of the princes. Shocked to her core, Anna freezes and wonders if she actually got herself tangled with someone that dangerous. Panic flares, and she jumps to her feet, determined to cleanse herself and shake off whatever bad luck she might have absorbed from that encounter. She swears to herself that she absolutely must not run into him again. No reruns, no sequels, no cameos. In the dead of night, an assassin slips into Prince Luca's chamber. With blade in hand, he launches a brutal strike only to discover the bed is stuffed with pillows. Panic surges through him, his heart dropping like Wi-Fi cutting out mid-episode. Prince Luca is gone. Absolute gone girl moment. He must inform Lord Julian at once, because failure is literally not on the menu for him tonight. Meanwhile, Anna is in her own world of realization. Despite thinking her prices were cheap, she now realizes they were actually pretty high. Like, high enough that she managed to find a place to stay, buy what she needed, and still have a gold coin chilling in her pouch. Queen of budgeting much? On top of that, she's got plenty of candy in stock, so she figures she should be fine for a while. Now that she actually understands the market prices, she wonders if she should start making a price list next. Very spreadsheet energy, even though Excel isn't invented here. But her thoughts don't linger long, because her brain instantly jumps to tonight's assassination attempt, Julian's grand little scheme that's supposed to flop spectacularly. Prince Luca is destined to go missing. She recalls Luca's character like she's scrolling through a mental Pinterest board, jet black hair and eyes like red jewels. A handsome face framed with a blank expression, but still dripping elegance. He always seemed a little sad, a little fragile, the type of guy Tumblr girls would have written long honesty posts about. Even the clueless female lead, who wouldn't notice a dragon if it tap danced in front of her, admitted he was handsome. And Julian, despite his soft boy visuals, was actually one of the most feared men in the underworld. Classic don't judge a book by its cover situation. But in Anna's personal opinion, Luca was a way better human than Julian. She understands that being royalty must have made his life tough in its own way, like imagine growing up in a palace where everyone low-key wants to stab you. Still, she convinces herself it's not like she will ever actually run into him, since her whole life is basically commuting between her house and her candy shop. 5 years from now, though, Prince Luca will meet the female lead and help guide this dreamy, borderline fairy tale kingdom toward a better future. But that's future business. The next morning, Anna stares at the door of her shop. So many people pass by, yet no one steps inside. She figures yesterday's candy rush must have been beginner's luck, like the algorithm blessing your first post and then ghosting you forever. There's no social media here, so she can't exactly go viral with a #SweetLife hashtag. She thinks about trying advertising in the newspaper, but that will take time. Too slow for her taste. She taps her chin, determined. There has to be a faster way. Then it hits her like a TikTok hack she should have remembered ages ago. She had completely forgotten one of the basics of business. Time to put it into action. Grabbing a basket full of candies, she struts out into the bustling market, channeling maximum main character energy. A man eyes her strange outfit, realizing he's never seen this girl before, probably wondering if she teleported straight out of another dimension. Anna marches over to a nearby flower shop and casually asks the man there if he likes candy, catching him totally off guard. Their eye on, the guy can't help but comment that this is by far the most unusual sales tactic he has ever seen. But at the same time, he admits it's kinda interesting, like low-key unhinged, but in a marketing genius way. She replies with a cheerful tone that she just arrived in this country, so she's still figuring things out. Classic newbie energy, but she adds that she hopes they can get along. Their Ion returns her smile, totally gentleman core, and says the pleasure is all his. He even goes full formal mode by introducing himself as their Ion, though he casually adds that she can freely call him Terry. Very friends call me this, you're in the circle now vibe. Terry notes how the small candies are super easy to eat, but the bigger ones have their own unique charm. He gets dramatic for a sec and exclaims they're as lovely as the flowers he grows. Honestly, kind of smooth for a florist. Anna, unfazed, tells him she has even more varieties back at the shop and that he should feel free to stop by anytime. Terry then turns around with a thoughtful expression and says he'd like to return the favor somehow. Without missing a beat, he pulls out a pretty yellow flower like it's straight out of a rom-com. He says flowers and candy really are alike, they both bring people joy. They're so pretty, so simple, so perfect. Then he hands it over to Anna. Anna beams with the kind of huge smile that could power a whole city, and she thanks him sincerely. Terry replies he's glad they're on the same page, like they've just signed an invisible friendship pact. And so, candy in hand, Anna goes around to introduce herself to all the nearby shops. Shopkeeper networking speedrun unlocked. By the time she finishes, she realizes she has only one piece of candy left. The pub across the street is packed to the brim, and the vibe is way too chaotic to barge in, so she decides she'll come back tomorrow. But then boom, chaos erupts anyway. Suddenly, a man shoves another to the ground, clearly ready to smash his face in and knock him out cold. Anna's eyes snap to the scene, locking onto the madness just in time to see the aggressive man collapse right before her, like someone unplugged his battery mid-fight. The man slowly regained consciousness, his face completely wrapped in bandages. Confused, he wonders where he is. As he carefully sits up, a sharp ache pulses through his head. Anna approaches with a tray, relieved to see him awake. She tells him his face is badly swollen but is glad he can still speak. He asks if she is the one who saved him. She smiles. Well, technically, she just picked him up, then encourages him to try eating the food. When he finds it difficult, she realizes the bandages are probably too tight. After loosening them, he eats slowly and apologizes for the trouble. She admits it was a huge hassle. She lent him the only bed in this tiny room that she finally managed to find. And she had to buy bandages and medicine even though she's trying to save money. She adds, not to mention the cost of that meal, even if she can't vouch for the taste, plus the treatment and lodging. Before he can leave, he insists he'll repay her somehow. But she stops him firmly, asking where he thinks he's going looking like that. She reminds him the doctor said he needs to keep applying ointment for several more days. With no room for argument, she gently pushes him back onto the bed and explains she helped him for her own reasons. If he's truly grateful, he needs to listen. Leaning in close, she asks does he understand? Then she fixes him with look and tells him that starting today, he will repay his debt through work. He swallows hard. She goes on to explain that she just opened her shop and desperately needs help but can't afford to hire anyone. She points out that while he may have lost the fight, he's tougher than he looks. She questions how about working here until the swelling goes down? Sounds fair, doesn't it? He replies, clearly relieved, so that's what she meant and appreciates it. Without missing a beat, she snatches the blanket away and orders to get up. Already she is not spending another night in that bed. Later, at the market, she visits the pub owner, Moss, who chuckles and says it's hilarious he's never had a person show up quite like this before. He already likes her. She then turns to him and tells him to apologize. He does, expressing regret for the commotion the day before. Anna assures Moss that they'll cover the damages in installments and asks him to let her know the total cost. But Moss weighs it off, saying there's no need to worry, it wasn't entirely his fault anyway. The real problem, he explains, is Tony, who always ends up tossing their stuff around whenever a fight breaks out. Chuckling, Moss adds that the one who turned him into a mummy yesterday was none other than Tony's fist. Anna thanks him for his kindness and hands over a bag, saying she brought a few things from the store for when he gets a little hungry. He picks up a bunny-shaped treat and smiles, calling it adorable. She tells him it's not just cute, it has a hint of alcohol in it. That's their Tipsy Bunny special. He laughs, admitting just hearing the name makes his mouth water. Then she asks what even caused the fight in the first place. Moss says Mummy Guy over there was just sitting in the corner with a hat on. Then he walked up to Tony, said something, and next thing they knew they were fighting. Moss says he has never seen anyone get beaten that badly and questions what did he say to him. He replies he just asked which guild he was in and heard he was a lackey. Moss blurts out in disbelief that he actually called Tony that. He informs them he got kicked out of Hawk's Guild and then got fired from Lycaon Guild too. Color drains from Anna's face. Lycaon Guild is the guild that belongs to the side character Julian. That is the last thing she wants to be involved with. She hurries off with a brief farewell, saying she got work to do, she should head back. On their way back, they walk in silence. He gradually slows his pace and reaches out, gently gripping the fabric of her dress. He calls her Dorothy. She spins around, surprised, and asks if her name had been mentioned earlier. Realizing she never actually introduced herself, she asks for his name as well. He tells her he can't reveal it just yet. She replies that a fake name is fine after all. She can't keep calling him Mommy Guy. He points out that he won't be wearing the bandages for long anyway and tells her to call him whatever she wants. Without hesitation, she declares Mimi, leaving him visibly shocked. Then, stepping in closer, she demands to know the real reason he was speaking with that guild lackey. She lifts her chin, staring at him as if trying to see straight through his very soul, her gaze sharp enough to slice through excuses. A glimmer of surrender crosses his face before he finally admits that he heard a rumor the master of the Lycaon Guild had appeared. Worse, that dangerous man was looking for him. Shocked, she nearly gasps, pointing out just how reckless that is and demanding to know why on earth he'd go after someone like that. He answers with all the mystery of a locked diary that he has his reasons, but he can't say more. Then, as if suddenly catching himself mid-overshare, he backtracks, saying that's enough, he has already spilled more than he should. Still, the confession slips out, raw and unpolished, that when he looked into her eyes, he just couldn't lie. She looks surprised for a fleeting moment, her brows lifting like she just got caught off guard by a plot twist, but then she turns around and, with suspicious calmness, says that if that is what he wants, she will stop asking. Her eyes then dart upward, spotting the clock tower looming above, and she points out in a no-nonsense tone that it is time to reapply the ointment the doctor had said it was crucial to stay on schedule. Without waiting for any protest, she grabs his hand with zero hesitation and starts dragging him to a nearby spot to sit, her energy giving off pure nope, you don't get a choice vibes. Once seated, she leans in and checks his face, muttering with frustration that no matter how many times she sees it, he really did take a beating, like a main character who went 12 rounds with the final boss before the tutorial even ended. Angry, she huffs, her whole body language screaming big sister energy, and declares that if she ever runs into that lackey again, she will make sure he gets what's coming to him, promising to deliver a taste of his own medicine, no discounts, no freebies, straight full-price revenge. A faint smile touches his lips, small but unmistakable, as he murmurs his thanks for her words, as if the warmth behind them matters more than the bravado. As she tends carefully to his wounds, she tells him she knows it hurts, but assures him they're almost done, her tone halfway between stern nurse and chaotic bestie with a med kit. He replies that it doesn't hurt, it's just a bit ticklish, like the universe decided to prank him instead of punish him. His cheeks flush red as she gently caresses his face, urging him in soft but insistent tones to hold on just a little longer, her touch both comforting and commanding. When she finally finishes tending to him, she straightens up and explains that she needs to prepare for the shop's opening, adding that she is sending him on a small errand. Handing him a neatly folded list, she instructs him to bring everything written there and carry it up to her room, the responsibility weighing heavier than the paper itself. She mentions, with a hint of seriousness, that she is trusting him with the little money she has left, making it clear that it is kind of a big deal, and emphasizes that he must be absolutely sure to come back, no ghosting allowed. With that, she turns on her heel and leaves. He watches her retreating figure disappear from sight and quietly admits to himself that she is quite unusual, different in every way. He has never encountered anyone like her in any social circle, not in the glittering halls of nobility or the back alleys filled with whispers. Meanwhile, the bell above the shop door jingles, and Terry enters, his presence instantly making Anna smile with a brightness that could power a whole festival. With cheerful eagerness, she promises to recommend the perfect treat, her energy almost bouncing off the walls. Terry, however, sheepishly admits that he actually came to buy candy for her nephews, confessing that he wanted to give the kids rewards but they finished their snacks way too quickly like mini snack gremlins with no off switch. He figures these candies might last a little longer, so at least his bribes won't run out in under an hour. Anna, ever the problem solver, raises a brow and counters with, "In that case, how about these?" as she enthusiastically shows off a selection of small, easy-to-eat candies. She points out the wide variety of colors and playful designs, confident the kids will go absolutely feral for them. Terry, impressed, replies that they are perfect, and at this rate, he wouldn't be surprised if she sells out and becomes the most popular store in town. Anna beams, her smile shining brighter than her candy jars, exclaiming she would love for that dream to come true someday. With warm politeness, she bids Terry farewell and watches him leave. Later, as the sun dips lower in the sky and paints the town in shades of gold and rose, she finds herself daydreaming about how wonderful it would be if her store truly became the best in town, her little corner of happiness turning into something legendary. Her thoughts then drift, almost uninvited, to Mimi. She wonders when he will return. Honestly, she wouldn't be too surprised if he vanished with the money after all. He did carry the look of someone harboring dangerous thoughts, like he had shadows tucked away in his pockets. Even so, a small, stubborn part of her still hopes he comes back. In a place so unfamiliar, surrounded by strangers, even one unpredictable companion feels like an anchor. She idly picks up one of the candies, rolling it between her fingers before popping it into her mouth, letting the sweetness dissolve on her tongue. Just then, the door creaks open with slow, deliberate weight. She stands automatically to greet the visitor, her practiced smile ready, but it falters mid-bloom as her eyes widen. Standing before her, framed in the doorway, is Julian. She welcomes him, though her body language tells a different story. He notices despite not having seen his face clearly before, she recognized him instantly. Leaning in slightly, he remarks that she clearly remembers this isn't their first encounter. Her gaze drops, she can't meet his eyes. She had a suspicion, and now it's confirmed. He's the master of the Lycaon Guild, a supporting character from the original story. On the surface, he exudes a calm, gentle charm. But beneath it? This is a man who casually orders a prince's assassination and can target someone's neck with his eyes closed. He's dangerously unpredictable. What puzzles her even more is why he's attempting to assassinate the prince again. But that question quickly takes a back seat to a more immediate concern. Why is he here? She stands frozen, pale as a ghost. Concern flickers in his eyes as he asks if she's feeling unwell. He explains he only stopped by to say hello since fate had them meet again. She responds that she wasn't sure at first, but now she remembers. He's the one who showed her the newspaper the other day. Giggling, she adds that he was so handsome, she couldn't stop staring. He smiles politely, saying he's used to that kind of attention. Now, under better lighting, she realizes he's even more attractive, as expected of a character from a novel. And if even a supporting character like Julian looks like this, she can't help but wonder what must the protagonist, the one admired by the heroine, look like? He asks, is the shop already closed? She responds no. Is he looking for something in particular? A favorite flavor, maybe? Or is it a gift for someone? He says no, he just got curious and wanted to try some. Then, with a relaxed charm, he adds, would she mind picking a flavor she personally likes? Caught off guard, she nods and offers him one, warning that their tastes might be completely different. He quirks a brow and teases, so she is saying she likes it? She shrugs, well, who knows, but inwardly thinks that this kind of flirting should be reserved for the heroine. He places the candy in his mouth, prompting her to ask, well, how is it? He pauses, then says, hard to say. She wonders if he's teasing her. She quickly recovers and explains actually they just opened recently. As part of a promotion, they are giving away samples of all the flavors. Try them at home, and if he likes them, come back and buy more next time. She packs a small box and hands it to him, then gently ushers him out. After closing the door, she exhales deeply, thinking troublesome customers are not welcome. She only needs the neighbors, noble women, and children. If he can take a hint, she's sure he won't return. For a brief moment, she considers whether she should have been more direct, but quickly brushes the thought aside. If she ended up upsetting him and he lost his temper, she might literally lose her head. All things considered, her approach was probably the safest. Just then, someone tries to open the door again, catching her off guard. Her heart jumps. Did he really come back? She calls out that the store is closed for the day, wondering if he returned because she had told him to come back if he liked the candies. But when she steps out, it's not Julian standing there, it's Mimi. He explains he had been waiting after buying everything she asked for, but since she didn't return, he came to find her. She tells him he should have rested in the room, but since there's still work left for tomorrow, they should head inside. On the way, she asks if he saw a man in a fancy cloak. He replies no. Was that someone she knows? She says not exactly, but if he's not around anymore then all is well. More importantly, she needs his help right now. With cleaning supplies in hand, they get to work. Mimi quickly regrets not staying in the room. As they clean, she notices he's not especially good at it. He's got strength, sure, but no finesse. She asks him where he built those muscles. He replies that a sword is far more useful than a broom when it comes to getting stronger. She assumes he must be a knight, though he's clearly terrible at fighting. Maybe a knight in training? He insists he went easy on purpose that time, beginning to explain himself, but is cut short when he drops the candies and apologizes. Cleaning might not be his strong suit. She taps his bicep with amusement and says that in that case, they'll just have to put his muscles to better use. They move on to making candies together, carefully shaping and setting them until the final batch is tucked neatly into a jar. When they finish, she wants to know how he found his first experience making candy. There's something a little mysterious about it, isn't there? He reflects thoughtfully, saying it felt like a big, sticky blob clumsily coming together, slowly transforming into something delicate. Then he glances at her and adds that it kind of reminds him of her. She blinks, surprised by the sudden comparison, but quickly spirals, demanding if he's calling her a random mess of sticky clumps. Flustered, he rushes to clarify that's not what he meant at all. He fumbles through his words, trying to explain that even small things can be admirable and meaningful, even if they seem insignificant at first. Honestly, he doesn't even know what he's saying anymore. But she finally catches on to what he means and says she is, in fact, pretty amazing. Her survival instincts, adaptability, and quiet passion are all admirable. She tells him she also thinks he's amazing too, especially his arm muscles. That earns a flattered smile from him. She adds that there's no way she could knead like he does fast and strong, and if she even tried, she would be too exhausted to clean up afterward. With a cheerful grin, she thanks him for his help. It really made a difference. He meets her smile with a warm gaze and tells her he should be the one thanking her just as his stomach growls. Laughing, she suggests they go grab something to eat. Later, sitting together on a bench, each holding a sandwich, she suddenly taps his shoulder and points to the sky. He follows her gesture and sees the colorful hot air balloons drifting in the sunset glow. She watches the scene with wonder, thinking how beautiful they look. The whole town bathed in the golden hue feels so dreamy. She turns to him and asks what he thinks. When she calls the view romantic, he's taken aback by her choice of word. She insists there's no place more romantic than this. A lovely fountain, white birds flying off into the sky, gracefully designed buildings with just the right height, and beautiful hot air balloons. Not to mention the temperature stays pleasant all day. She admits even though she hasn't been here that long, she already feels like she doesn't want to go back to where she used to live. He confesses he never thought of this place as being that great. But thanks to hers, he realizes he has been overlooking something important. He needs to keep reminding himself of this feeling from now on. She giggles and says he just sounds like the lord of the city. But then her smile falters and she questions he really isn't one, right? He replies of course not. He then changes the topic and asks her if she can tell him what kind of place she used to live in. She replies it was the complete opposite of her, making him question if it was a wasteland. She says materially it was rich, but it felt like a wasteland in spirit. But anyway, she really likes it here now and hopes things can stay peaceful like this forever. However, with the prince's disappearance causing an uproar, she is a little worried. Turning to him, she asks if he has ever seen Prince Luca's face. She says the newspapers are in black and white and the image quality is bad, so she cannot really tell except for the hairstyle maybe. He asks if she's curious about what he looks like. Without hesitation, she exclaims that people say he's the most handsome man in the entire empire. Her blunt words catch him off guard at first, but then he bursts into genuine laughter. She looks at him, puzzled, and asks if the rumors aren't true. He admits the prince is not exactly ugly, and that those around him often say he's handsome, but he personally doesn't see it that way. She inquires he has seen him in person. Maybe she will get a glimpse of him if he ever appears outside the palace for any event. He replies it's not a big deal. A prince isn't really all that special. However, she points out if he becomes crown prince, that is a different story. He will be someone who shapes the future of this country. Mimi asks her if she wants Prince Luca to become the crown prince. He reveals he is the eldest son but born to the former empress who was a commoner. The current empress is from a noble family, so her son Prince Leon is more probable for the position. However, she declares she supports Prince Luca, thinking to herself he is the main character after all. If he becomes the crown prince, the story will head in the right direction and this country will grow stronger. That way, her shop will also be safe. He gazes at her and a smile breaks through. He thinks it was just a casual remark, but her words have power. She declares they should both pray from now on that Prince Luca becomes crown prince and that this romantic city and their shop continue to be protected. The next morning, as she wakes up, her eyes fall on the neatly cleaned mattress, a quiet sign that he's already up. In the washroom, Prince Luca stands before the mirror, examining his reflection and noting that the swelling on his face has finally gone down. The next morning, he washes his face and dries his hands. As he steps out of the washroom, Anna stands nearby, fidgeting, and exclaims that he should hurry, she's been holding it in for so long she's about to die. Startled, he quickly apologizes and moves aside. But just as she's about to pass him, she pauses and turns back. Leaning in close, she gazes into his eyes, their breaths nearly mingling. The moment is broken when she suddenly comments, impressed, that he managed to apply the medicine all by himself. He responds that it turned out to be something he could handle after all. She observes that the swelling has gone down considerably and suggests that applying the medicine twice a day, morning and night, should do the trick. Then she mentions she's also set out a change of clothes for him. He reflects on how attentively she's been looking after him, but surprise flickers across his face when he sees the shirt. It's patterned with hearts. Later, Anna welcomes a new couple into her shop. The man seems charmed, while the woman eyes her man with irritation. The woman then turns to Anna and mentions she heard from an acquaintance that Anna sells products like edible perfume. Realizing word of mouth is spreading, Anna excitedly says she'll prepare it right away. Luca steps out wearing his heart-shaped shirt and tells them to choose whatever they like. This time, the woman observes everything with wide eyes and a blush creeping onto her cheeks, while the man watches in growing irritation. The woman suddenly declares she will take everything. Anna, pleased, realizes she can close shop for the day. Luca, looking awkward, asks if it's okay to change clothes now. She's surprised by his sudden formality. He explains it's because she speaks politely to him even though she's the one looking after him. Smiling, she agrees and proposes they drop the formal speech as friends. He grins and accepts, declaring that from now on, she's his one and only friend, Dorothy. She stares at him, wide-eyed, but his smile slowly fades as their eyes lock. The bandage slips from his face, and in a daze, she mumbles Prince Luca. At a grand ball elsewhere, a woman joyfully announces that she can finally kiss without worry. Romantic moments after meals had always been a problem. Another agrees, saying it really kills the mood. One of them asks for mint candies to freshen her breath, and a debate breaks out about trading for fresh gossip. Her friend argues that if the product is as good as claimed, it will be famous soon, but she counters by then it will be sold and impossible to get. Reluctantly, the woman agrees to share a top-secret piece of intel she heard from her husband. Someone has allegedly infiltrated the imperial palace recently and the empress is trying to cover it up. Her Majesty stands behind them, catching them by surprise and prompting a flurry of bows. She remarks that there seems to be juicy gossip in high society she hasn't heard yet. The girl with red eyes who had visited Anna's shop and got mint candies stammers that she actually found this incredibly delicious dessert and presents Anna's mint candies to Her Majesty on a plate. The Empress takes a bite of the candy. She nervously asks her how is it. She responds that it is quite a nice flavor and that she made good use of simple sugar candy. She also asks her if this is a new business that her family started. She responds that's not it, but a store selling these unusual candies just opened near the town fountain and she'll have the servant report the exact location. The Empress questions if that is the case, and that she is looking forward to it. In the setting of romantic lady novel, the Mableye Empire had two princes, the one that Emperor loved the most, the first prince, son of the now deceased former empress who came from a commoner background, Lucas Elride Medel. Then there's the son of the current empress who, despite having no known love story with the emperor, has the full backing of the nobles, Leonrad Elride Medel. Though the emperor leaned towards Lucas when it came to appointing a crown prince, the nobility's support was firmly behind Lone. Their strength and weaknesses clashed fiercely. Even the Empress herself had no idea who would be chosen as crown prince. Worried about the situation, the Empress hired the Lycaean Guild to carry out an assassination, but Prince Luca got wind of it in advance and escaped the attempt. After that he began to question power and left the palace behind. Years later, having started in the outside world, he meets the heroine and makes up his mind to become the crown prince again or something similar to it, and yet Anna is totally taken aback and wonders what is going on. How come the main character is standing in front of her right now? She mentions that for someone who said the newspaper print was too blurry, he figured it out pretty fast. He asks her why did she keep something this important hidden from him, knowing depending on how this goes she could lose her head. She imagines all the labels that could be slapped on her: kidnapping, forced labor, defamation. He apologizes to her and tells her that he didn't mean to deceive her, and of course he would never let anything like that happen to her, so she doesn't need to worry. She questions if she is just supposed to believe that. She suspiciously asks him if he expects her to trust a prince who ran away from home just because things didn't go his way. He responds that her words are a little harsh. It feels like he got shot with an arrow or something. She sighs and mentions that she can't really escape the typical romance fantasy plotline. She turns around and calls after her, but then a voice tells him that to the emperor he's just a memory, and who knows how long that bond will even last, and if they just get rid of Prince Leon then they'll become the crown prince. Suddenly Anna grabs onto Luca. He comes back to his senses. He apologizes to her and she tells him that there is no need to apologize and asks him to tell her something. She then asks him to make a deal as he'll be there for a while anyway. She mentions that she needs Minnie the friend, not Luca the prince. She thinks that besides, cases like this always bounce back like a boomerang even if one kicks them out, knowing that there is no turning back now. He asks her friend. She questions if it's okay that she speaks casually and asks for help again in exchange for his secret. He grabs her hand and tells her off course. She decides that they should draw up a friendship and not a servant contract, and she'll write up as many as he wants. He looks at the contract knowing this is the friendship contract, and they should sign it right away. Anna, Part A, shall not be charged with the crime of insulting royalty no matter how rude or commanding her behavior towards Luca, and shall not be held responsible for any task requested no matter what it is. He thinks it's a friendship contract in name only, otherwise it's a total servant contract. He asks her where's the pen. She decides signatures aren't convincing enough and she will need fingerprints as they're eternal after all. Both of them sign the contract, and the next day she tells him that the basics of running a store start with hygiene. She told him to do shopping, and everything was taken care by him. He lets the bug fly as she looks at him and thinks since he stamped the contract with a fingerprint, no matter how hard she works him, he won't leave. She thinks that maybe he is better at selling candy than being a prince, and maybe because this is set before the novel's main story his personality is totally different. That's why she didn't realize he had black hair. The novel said that as a child he was kind and reserved, but after running away from home he was constantly under the threat of assassination and lived in harsh conditions and slowly turned into someone withdrawn and cold. He's a classic cold male lead from a romance story who meets a bright sun like heroine, rediscovers joy and gradually returns to who he used to be. She is glad she met him before he changed.